What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we've got Destiny 2 news, and more specifically Bungie news, as they posted an article titled The New Path for Bungie. They said on Twitter this morning we shared an important update with the Bungie team on the difficult decision to eliminate 220 roles at Bungie. And of course, most of us know some of the context around this. Bungie had layoffs a good few months ago, nearly a year ago at this point. They kind of popped up out of the blue, and it caused a lot of drama in the Destiny community, naturally, as well as frustration for the folks affected by it. And it looks like essentially the same thing is happening today. So let's read the article here by Pete Parsons, CEO at Bungie. He says, "This morning I'm sharing with all of you some of the most difficult changes that we've ever had to make as a studio, due to rising costs of development and industry shifts, as well as enduring economic conditions. It has become clear that we need to make substantial changes to our cost structure and focus development efforts entirely on Destiny 2 and Marathon. That means beginning today, 220 of our roles will be eliminated, representing roughly 17% of our studio's workforce. These actions will affect every level of the company, including our most executive and senior leader roles." And so if I'm not mistaken here, this is actually a more significant layoff than what happened a few months back, which certainly is concerning. But the article goes on to say today is a difficult and painful day, especially for our departing colleagues, all of which have made important and valuable contributions to Bungie, and our goal is to support them with the utmost care and respect. For everyone affected by this job reduction, we will be offering a generous exit package, including severance, bonus, and health coverage. And he says, "I realise all of this is hard news, especially following the success we've seen with the final shape. But as we've navigated the broader economic realities over the past year, and after exhausting all other mitigation options, this has become a necessary decision to refocus our studio and our business with more realistic goals and viable financials. We're committed to two other major changes today that we believe will support our focus, leverage Sony's strengths, and create new opportunities for Bungie talent. And first, we're deepening our integration with Sony Interactive Entertainment, working to integrate 155 of our roles, which is roughly 12%, into Sony over the next few quarters. Sony Interactive Entertainment has worked tirelessly with us to identify roles for as many of our people as possible, enabling us together to save a great deal of talent that would otherwise have been affected by the reduction in force. So ultimately, the people that will sort of move away from Bungie projects, that number will obviously be higher than 17%. But the article goes on to say we're working with PlayStation Studio leadership to spin out one of our incubation projects, an action game set in a brand new science fantasy universe, to form a new studio within PlayStation Studios to continue its promising development. So some of those roles obviously will be working on this other title that Bungie have been developing, but is now going to be essentially completely taken over by Sony, presumably with a bunch of future ex-Bungie devs, right? So there's quite a lot of nuance to what's going on today. And next up, Pete Parsons says, let's unpack how he ended up in this position. And for over 5 years, it's been our goal to ship games in 3 enduring global franchises. To realize that ambition, we've set up several incubation projects, and each needed with senior development leaders for our existing teams. But we eventually realized that this model stretched our talent too thin too quickly, and it's also forced our studio support structures to scale to a larger level than we could realistically support, given our 2 primary products in development, which are Destiny and Marathon. Additionally, in 2023, our rapid expansion ran headlong into a broad economic slowdown, a sharp downturn in industry games, as well as the quality miss with Destiny 2 Lightfall, and the need to give both Final Shape and Marathon the time needed to ensure both projects deliver at the quality that players expect and deserve. And he admits we were overly ambitious, our financial safety margins were subsequently exceeded, and we began running into the red. But following this, we knew we had to change our course and speed, and we did everything we could to avoid today's outcome, even with exhaustive efforts undertaken across our leadership and product teams to resolve our financial challenges. These steps were simply not enough. And as a result, today we must say goodbye to incredible talent, colleagues, and friends. And so, sort of as anticipated, I guess, we've spoken about this before, Bungie have kind of expanded the studio really significantly. They've put a whole bunch of other projects into development. We heard about Marathon last year, but obviously they've had other things going on. And following Sony actually taking over Bungie, that's what kind of got them into trouble, as well of course as the Lightfall year not performing as well as it could have, which they've admitted that pretty openly. And collectively that sort of led to this position that Bungie are in now. Initially, we saw those layoffs a few months back, and then, even with Final Shape being a really good Destiny expansion, financially obviously that hasn't had enough of an influence on the situation at the moment. And it was always expected that Sony's influence and integration with Bungie would just increase if Bungie couldn't turn things around, and that's what they've been trying to do. But obviously, there's another negative development here again. They do finish by saying this will be a challenging time at Bungie, and we need to help our team navigate the changes in the weeks and months ahead. This will be a hard week, and we know that our team will need time to process and ask questions and absorb the news. But Bungie will continue to make great games, and we still have over 850 team members building Destiny and Marathon, and will continue to build amazing experiences that exceed our players' expectations. There will be a time to talk about goals and projects, but today's not that day, and today our focus is on supporting our people. So obviously really feel for all of the developers affected by this. It's pretty devastating news for a lot of folks who probably in the past few months have at least felt sort of energized by positive things happening with the final shape, right? At least on the Destiny teams, only to be put in this position once again. And absolutely, the leadership of Bungie are totally responsible for a lot of what's happened. Obviously, there are other influences inside of the games industry, global markets that they reference, all of that kind of stuff. I'm not a business person, but the easy way to describe it is that Bungie have really overstretched themselves in the past few years, and it just hasn't been remotely sustainable, which is unfortunate. As to what influence this could have on Destiny right now, obviously in the next year or so, probably not much. But on top of Marathon, Destiny is absolutely going to be one of Bungie's main franchises moving forward. So the assumption would still be that Bungie plan to support Destiny. There are other releases coming out next year, which we've heard about. But without a doubt, the success of Destiny in the next couple of years, and Marathon, whenever that actually is finished and gets released, is going to be absolutely crucial to Bungie's ability to continue even from their current position. So certainly disappointing news, worrying news for Destiny players and fans of Bungie overall. Devastating news for all of the folks at Bungie actually affected by this, because that's more than 300 or so jobs in the last year, off the top of my head, that I can remember, have been discussed in various articles and bits of news that have come out surrounding the two sort of layoff events, I guess. But Bungie have tried to get on top of this one. That's about all I can really say for the moment. We'll see how things pan out and what Bungie have to say regarding this in the future as well. But give us your thoughts down below. All the best to all the folks at Bungie affected by this. Obviously, the staff at Bungie who are actually losing their jobs bear the brunt of all of this, right? They're the ones who rely on Bungie and their jobs and positions there as their livelihoods, right? So it's going to be a really raw time for a lot of people over there. And obviously, for myself, I'd love to see Bungie continue to succeed. Again, this is now going to hinge on Marathon and Destiny almost exclusively by the sounds of it. So if Bungie can get past the next few months, it may potentially have less of an impact on Destiny than what it might sound like as we read that news today. But for the moment, there's just no way of really knowing, and we'll have to wait and see. That's about all I can really say on it for today. So cheers for watching, and I'll catch you guys very soon.